Hey guys, welcome to Movement 33, the podcast for the people, episode number 4. Right, and joining me today is Tony Vara. I met Tony. He's a member at the gym. How long have you been coming to the gym?
Probably 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So in these 3 months, and I tell people this story all the time, and then I'm going to let Tony talk, but I brag about Tony nonstop, and you probably don't even know about this. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but you'll have...
I know you admire me, but...
Yeah, well, like anytime someone new comes in, they're like, oh, that's a young guy sport, or no offense to you or anything. That's a young guy thing, or I can't do that, or this or that. And I'm like, this guy had a kidney transplant.
Yep.
Had a kidney transplant.
03.
In 03, and is still coming in.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. So anybody.
Absolutely.
I
Anybody.
use that all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
What's your take on it?
This CrossFit is essential if you want to be healthy. That's really simply how I put it to anyone who asks me about it. Why are you doing it? I want to be healthy. I want to add years to my life.
Yeah.
Well, I feel good. Not just adding, years that aren't happy.
Right.
Who wants to be just there?
Like to put value.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I think one of the things, and we were actually just talking about this before we started recording, is CrossFit is kind of the medium that we use and that I use as a CrossFit gym owner. But we were talking about variety in exercise programs, because there's so many different things out there. There's got to be variety of it all too. And I was actually talking about this on my last podcast with someone who comes from a different sort of gym model, who we were kind of discussing the same thing. There's no right way to do things, but there's no guaranteed right way to do things, but there's definitely a more right way to do things. Like we were just saying or Tony was telling me how, basically at the end of the day, you just got to tax yourself. Right?
Yeah, you have to. That's the purpose of coming to any gym. But CrossFit's program itself, at least here, definitely taxes you every time you do it. Unless you choose not to participate and you go real easy.
Yeah.
Which is another reason you shouldn't be at the gym. If that's what you're trying to do. That's just, my opinion.
Like if you're not going to put the effort into it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
What are you paying for?
Yeah. Why put yourself through it to take it easy? Not saying you have to be 110%, but get something out of it physically. And you should be trying. I think in this gym, it's very quantitative. Everything you do, you can build on every time you come in. Even if it's a half of a second, another row, whatever you find as a measure to improve yourself. That's the good thing about the CrossFit.
I think that's something that CrossFit did a really good job with, and that other things are starting to get into, is making fitness measurable. Because that's what people want. People want the return. Everybody wants a return on something. So you want to see results starting to happen, and you want to see the progress happening right in front of your eyes. And so making it measurable gives you the proper idea of, are you doing the right thing? I think you need to have ownership of results, and that's only if you're paying attention to what you're putting in. Yeah.
You really can't make gains, or you may not know what you're gaining unless you're actually watching what you're doing.
Right.
Specifically.
Like
exactly.
You've owned multiple restaurants.
Yes.
Same sort of thing.
Well, yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Whatever you're putting in, you're trying to beat last week or last year's numbers. Mm-hmm. So if that's your goal, or to do it more efficiently, to save money, there's always somewhere to improve. And that's with business and with, I guess, the gym too. That's something you can always be looking at. There's a lot of different ways to improve. It's not just 5 more pounds. It's not just 1 more rep. It could be just feeling better as you're going through it, even if you have the same numbers. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Able to go through the process and, not having to stop, not having to take it easy.
Your recovery time is better. And that's
a lot better. Yeah. Being able to walk the next day.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely things that we'll get hung up on numbers sometimes, but it's not all about the numbers per se. That's obviously that's a little different than like owning a business. You got to make certain numbers and you got to make a certain amount of money. But as far as fitness goes and just quality of life, it's more so a general feeling. Now, if someone needs to lose 100 pounds, they got to lose 100 pounds.
Yeah, that's not a gym's responsibility.
Yeah,
that's
right.
that's just your fitness. That's your health.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you're doing or where you're going.
Overall ways of improving quality of life.
Yeah. You're being detrimental to yourself.
Right. I think one of the things that we talked about before too that I really like, and I'm going to bring this up because I want to get into it, is, and kind of going back into quality of life, is taking the gym aside and stuff, just being yourself. I remember we had this conversation about this young kid that you know who was kind of like, how do you say, meandering through life, didn't really have things that he was too excited about or passionate about or anything.
Did not have passion, does not have passion for anything overt. Yeah. He doesn't show, what you assume. He doesn't show any passion for anything. You assume because he's a young man, he has passion maybe about sports, maybe about, history, maybe about biology. But you really don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's never defined through his actions.
Yeah. One of the things that we got from that conversation was, what is, when people kind of shutter themselves, they aren't acting like their true selves. And
that's one thing I picked up from you. Actually, his problem, which may or may not be true, maybe he has some type of issue that he doesn't want anyone to know about. So he's keeping his true self hidden, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I found that really an interesting view that you gave me. I never thought of it.
Yeah.
Like, he's holding back for a reason, not a social, outwardly spoken individual.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, that's a tough thing to break through because then you're trying to work on someone's
nature,
personal,
I think.
Nature and walls and things that have been built up. Nature or environment. Well,
absolutely.
I guess nurture is the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nurture or nature.
Yeah.
But you're working against it, and I think it's harder for each individual because I look at people and I think they should have some similar traits that I have because that's what I know. That's what I think is positive. However, I don't know why, which is what you brought up to me. I don't know why he's so introverted. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he just doesn't communicate. But that should have been my focus a long time ago. What's making you so shy? Not why are you shy?
Sure.
What's wrong with you?
Sure.
How come you're like that? How come you're not like me?
Yeah, yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah, because you're used to what you're used to.
Yeah, and most people are similar at some point. Then when you get somebody who's extremely shy, it shocks me.
It's different because you're not really a shy guy.
I'm not really. In certain situations, I am shy, and in certain situations, I'm not. It takes me more time to warm up. I'm not. It's just my demeanor.
Yeah.
Just the way I carry myself.
Because when you first came into the gym, you were like, I think you gave me like 18 advertising tips.
Well, that was different. That was different. That was me seeing a young man who owns a business.
It was very helpful.
It was just free advice based on all of my misery.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. It was like, you know what? I'll tell anybody what to do, in my opinion. And whether they take it or not, that's really, it's up to you. Mm-hmm. But, I think that might be different. If I have something that I feel has to be said or I see a void that I perceive, whether it's there or not, I'll at least lend a voice, and then you do what you will with the information. Yeah.
I think that goes. I mean, that'll translate into like anything. You know what I mean? Everybody has everybody's perception is their reality.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why I think this is so cool, is getting to talk different perceptions and different backgrounds of people who, like one of the things that we discuss all the time is you're from New York.
Yep.
And we always talk about, like childhood stories and stuff. Like some of the stuff that goes down, you're like, man, that's normal right now, but looking back, I don't think that's how that was done.
It was normal back then.
Normal back then, yeah.
But that's not what the environment should be.
Yeah.
However, you have to adjust to your environment so that becomes the norm.
And that's the nurture.
Right or wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely nature over nurture.
Yeah.
Because you're in a situation, you have to adapt to it.
What do you think's more important, nature versus nurture? Like what wins the battle?
I've always believed nature over nurture.
Yeah.
Only because, I mean, not to get into a whole bunch of different situations, people do things that are perceived as wrong or indifferent and very difficult, I think, based on nature.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something that is causing you pain or, difficulties, it's in your nature.
Yeah.
As opposed to, other factors, environmental factors, and all the society as a whole. I just think in general, nature will always take over.
Yeah.
In the end, it may take a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, look at you talk about what's his name, Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
I can only assume that was nature taking its course over time. I have no idea. I have no understanding whatsoever. I've never had those feelings. A woman,
Yeah.
what? At 50 or 60? That's shocking.
But it comes out in the end.
But somebody did, he did it, so maybe there's a lot of people like that. I don't know. Well, a percentage. I don't know about a lot.
I'm sure there's more than that. More than we know about are still kind of.
Well, definitely more than we know about, and more than people who have the resources. Mm-hmm. You may want to be whatever. I'd like to be a retired billionaire. If you don't have the resources, you're not.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that issues that I've seen in my life over time, that's where I say nature takes its course.
Yeah.
He didn't wake up one day. I doubt.
No, it's been a long time.
He said 60, 62 years old. So you know what? I've never had this thought, but I think I'd like to be a woman today. It had to be a process.
I'm going to try something new today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this a shot.
Am I going to shave today? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a woman. What? I just can't. I can't fathom that. That's why I think nature.
Yeah, I think nature, that's a good way to put it. I think, too, if you look at that, but you got to look at, too, humans are super adaptable. Mm-hmm. We're very adaptable creatures that like the adapt to survive whole idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think, and with my limited knowledge just because of this topic, like being surrounded by the whole Kardashian fuel, that influenced him saying, "Oh, maybe I am assimilating with all these women, these powerful women in my life"?
I don't.
Or do you think it was going to happen regardless?
I really don't think if I was with. I've had many women. I've had many women in my life who are powerful, and I've seen the great positive outcomes. And I've never ever thought in my life that I'd like to be a woman. So I don't think that circle lended towards that. Maybe he had more support. Maybe they've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was simply a publicity stunt in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they were just going to get huge skyrocketing ratings. But then he went through surgery.
He committed.
And I was like, okay, that's not a publicity stunt any longer.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier about, people being their true selves within themselves, and then to everybody else, there's somebody else.
Yep. Yeah, everyone says there's an outdoor person, and then behind closed doors, people are who they are.
Who they are, yeah.
And but then again, there's also so many situations where you have a husband and a wife, and the husband has no idea what the wife's doing, or vice versa. So how much do you really? You only let people know what you want to. You can keep anything a secret if you really want to.
If you really wanted to.
How many men I've known from the cooking business? How many men go to pick up dinner, which is broiled chicken, vegetables, and have 3 slices while they're waiting for it?
Yeah.
And then when their wife's with them, for some reason, they don't have those slices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that's a really light topic.
Yeah.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
You're still lying. You're still holding something back from them.
Yeah.
That I see. I don't understand that.
Why do you think? Yeah. Why does that happen?
I have no idea. Maybe I don't know. My wife knows what I do because it's who you are.
Yeah.
Why are you married to? My opinion.
Well, yeah.
Why would you be married and then you have to hide who you are?
Hide yourself. Yeah.
Hey, this is who I am. Good luck.
That's hard. That's a hard thing to dissect because I think there's a group of people who accept that about themselves and they're like, yeah, this is me. This is who you get. If you don't like it, then get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But then there's a group of people who kind of look at societal norms and they're like, okay, how do I fit into these? How don't I fit into these? And what can I do?
Yeah, I guess I never had
And
that
then
buffer.
odd habits get drawn out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who,
Being proper
yeah,
is such a controversial term because it means so many different things. To me, being proper is being polite, being courteous, being, part of the norm. It's not not eating a certain thing or not talking to a certain person or looking at somebody if they live on the other side of the tracks a certain way. That's not being proper. Whereas people take that term and it's skewed so many times. And I think that's nurture over nature.
yeah.
It's what you learn.
That's what you
Society teaches you,
Yeah.
and you allow yourself to be taught.
Right.
So it's both.
There's definitely a facilitation period in everybody's life where they're, deciding how the world works.
Yeah, I think when you have positive or negative events in your life, you hold on to them for the rest of your life. Even if you don't know consciously you make decisions, you will always have that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Like I know anybody who ever has lived in a rough neighborhood will always feel more comfortable when they walk through a rough neighborhood, but they will completely revert back to they have to be on guard. They have they go right back to what they felt at whenever they were in that type of situation.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's the
Pulls
way
you right
people
back
are.
there. Without you
Yeah,
consciously flipping the switch, it just happens.
not at all. Yeah, it's automatic.
Yeah.
You walk into, and I just did it this weekend, and
yeah,
that's
you
why
awesome.
I went to Brooklyn this weekend, and we parked in the garage, 3rd floor, all dark. Everything's it's a parking garage.
Yeah.
Excuse me, in the middle of downtown Brooklyn, which is now much nicer than when I lived there. But you still are worried. Who's coming? Is there anybody else walking around?
Yeah.
What's going on? I parked my car the way I saw everyone else park, so I wouldn't stand out.
Yeah.
And that's like a survival.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Everyone had their car parked face with the front of the vehicle facing out. Nobody just pulled into
backed in?
Yeah, they backed in. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Everyone backed in. Well, when I first pulled up, I pulled in. First of all, I could barely get into the parking spot. So I just pulled in. I get out and I was about to walk away. And I looked at my wife and I was like, you know what? I got to turn the car around. She's like, why? I was like, because we're the only one who pulled in. She's like, well, what does that matter? They could still get by. I was like, no. I was like, it's not the point. Now you're sticking out. I said, especially with out-of-state plates.
Now they know you're not.
Let's hide this. Let's hide the out-of-state plate, back in, and I'll just feel more comfortable. And we both immediately agreed.
Yeah.
We stuck out like a sore thumb.
That's crazy.
It had nothing to do with the vehicle, but it's not assimilating to what's going on in that area.
That's like hunting. You ever see lions hunting herds of what was that? I was watching something actually recently, and they were talking about lions hunting zebras, and they were saying how they'll just pick one that has something different about it, and that's the one they'll go after.
Yeah, the weak one in the crowd.
Yeah.
Which is, they could stumble, they could have whatever, but it's true. That's their natural instinct.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny how when you go back to places like, people always have somewhere where they say, oh, this just feels like home.
Yeah,
And you
absolutely.
go back to those spots, and then you leave, like, you recognize old smells and you recognize old things and stuff. And yeah, I think those places are always with you. But another thing that comes out of that is, and this is kind of where I was heading to it, people who have, someone who grows up in a rough neighborhood, or people who live through, like when they're young, traumatic events and such, there's kind of seems to be two sides of the coin. Either it's going to derail you, or you're going to, essentially become outspoken about it and help the people around.
Yeah, it can either enable or enable you.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and I don't know if it's a choice you make. I don't know if it's something that your natural coping skills, or is it, what you're taught in response to that? Like, whatever occurred when you came home, if you have a home, how was that received?
Yeah.
And I think that makes a big, big impression when you're younger.
That's how things get passed down in families too, Oh, well, my dad was a drunk, or my mom was this, or whatever, and then it just perpetuates the cycle.
Yeah, whatever you see, you repeat.
How do you break that cycle if you're stuck in it? What do you think?
I think it comes down to making that choice. I think that's what's wrong with most people, my opinion. I shouldn't say most people. I think individuals choose a crutch. I didn't have a choice, and I've heard that a lot with people who are alcoholics. Well, my dad drank all the time. It was always around. Yeah, but by the time you're 30, you're 40, you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
No matter what, there is a choice. There is free will. That's just really how I feel. Once you get past, 16, 17, you're pretty cognizant of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And you're making a choice whether or not to drink, whether or not to smoke,
right.
What lifestyle you want. Those are choices. Nothing is forced.
I think you're right.
I don't see that. I think we love to have excuses.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
It feels forced because we create these patterns in our head that we just can't seem to break.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote an article, and I've talked about this before, is you on average make 35,000 decisions in your day. And
okay.
if you're you have 70,000 thoughts, and on average you can deduce that you have 35,000 decisions in a day. So if you're practicing 35,000 negative decisions in your day, whether you know them or not, that pattern gets solidified.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I think you're right, man. I think it is a choice, because you see stories like that all the time where people grew up in a rough neighborhood, dad was in jail or mom was this, and they're now working for a Fortune 500 company and doing good for themselves and all those kinds of things. So those success stories are out there.
Yeah, I do think it's much more difficult. I think your race or your ride in life isn't as easy, but that's the problem. Everyone thinks everyone else has it easier. Everyone believes that your path was a lot clearer, a lot simpler for you. Well, no, it's not. And that's where I think like the gym's a great example.
Yeah.
I don't have a harder time coming to the gym than you do.
Right.
I don't have a harder time taking time off or committing to a gym. It's a choice. A lot of people just choose not to.
Yeah.
Everyone, for my whole life, I've always heard, oh, well, you like going to the gym. No, I like feeling better.
Yeah, like after the gym.
Yeah, the process of going, I'd much rather do anything else. Anything else, definitely not incumbent on my time or just having fun. I enjoy getting healthy. I enjoy working out, but as much as anyone else would.
Uh-huh.
But coming here is a pain.
But in the middle of a heavy squat or something.
Yeah, you're not like, woo, this is the best.
I love this. Yeah, it's hard. It's difficult.
It's hard work. And that's one of my sister and I, we always have that. Oh, and my wife. Well, you like going to the gym. No, I force myself. I don't like it. Yeah. It's like, okay, I accept what it is and I'll do it. But it's not, fun.
Yeah, I'd much rather be
whatever
hanging out, doing something else. Yeah.
Everyone has time constraints.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things I'd rather do.
Time constraints is a big one. That's an excuse. Because
that's an excuse.
Like, I'll do it sometimes too. I'll be like, well, I did work out pretty hard 2 days ago, so I think I might need another rest day or something like that. Like, man, you're full of shit.
No, you don't.
Go do something.
Yeah.
Go for a walk or something. Get out of breath. Do something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in the gym. It can be whatever you want it to be, but move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I say that all the time. Oh, well, you know what? I really killed myself on Monday. I probably should take off Wednesday, come back Thursday. Knowing that I can't come on Thursdays.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to come. So I'm going to work out on Monday and Friday. That's just not enough.
Right.
Like, you got to be reasonable with yourself, and you got to be honest with yourself. No, you're just being lazy or whatever. Just go.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I love about CrossFit. Just go, because it's so much pain and torture so quickly. it's over.
It's over before you know it.
Well, it's a lot better than like you can go to a regular big box house gym and literally walk around for an hour and not really ever get into anything. And all you did was waste your time.
Yeah.
Whereas here, if you're going to go through whatever the watt of the day is, you need to go through it.
Yeah.
Even if you take it easy, it's still harder than not doing anything.
Right.
So that's one thing I think is a big bonus to CrossFit.
I think that is something that CrossFit really has done a good job of, is time efficiency.
Yep.
And it makes sense, even if you look at the science behind high intensity workouts. It just makes more sense.
Yeah.
It makes more sense, one, in a practicality standpoint of being in and out of the gym and not wasting your day. But two, it's getting your body to work on the proper metabolic pathways that are going to give you the most result. Now, you can't have high intensity exercise all the time. That's why you have rest days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That kind of thing is also important. But as far as getting the most bang for your buck, you don't have to spend a lot of time in the gym.
No. Which is very, very much a falsehood of most gyms.
Yeah.
You got to commit. You got to be here if you're going to get any results.
Yeah, and then they
Really?
I don't have 3 hours to spend at the gym all day and that kind of thing. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a quick. It's a quick way to defeat your purpose right from the beginning. You don't have extra time, so now you have to commit 2 hours, 3 hours. No way.
Yeah.
No way possible.
Yeah.
No, not a vast majority. Our people are going to commit that much time. Yeah, no, that's what's I think one of the greatest assets of the CrossFit. It's a clear, condensed time.
Yeah.
You could be in and out in 45 minutes.
Sure.
And then, warm down, cool down, stretch when you're home. You don't have to be there doing it.
Right.
And you can get a great workout, which, you go through any one of them, you're done when you're done.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree.
Especially if you push, you don't need anything else.
I like that aspect, and this kind of goes for working out in general too. It's a direct, like we said before, it's a direct reward to what you're putting into it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to lie. You can't fake through something. Like, there's certain things that you just can't fake. You can't fake working out. You can't fake a healthy diet or a poor diet. You just can't fake those types of things.
No. And it continually repeats.
It makes you accountable,
Oh, absolutely. Especially and really that's if you're going to be honest.
Yeah.
That's a whole, a whole nother thing, which shouldn't be an issue.
Right.
If you're going to lie to yourself, well, that's a whole nother thing to delve into. You have to work on that.
So when you are in that like mental struggle of I guess I'll go to the gym today, and but I kind of got this or that or what, like what's your kind of go-to to knock all the excuses to the side and go?
One now with CrossFit is it'll be over before I know it. And I would feel so much better so quick.
Yeah.
As
Band-Aid.
as opposed to if I don't go, then I'm like aggravated all day that I didn't go. So it doesn't make any sense not to.
Yeah.
And that's really where I get up and go, let me just get it over with. Because and I literally mean the minute we're done, 3-4 minutes, you start catching your breath, you feel good, you feel like $1 million. You're like, wow. And I didn't know, wow, that's great. That's great. I'm all done. Huh, good. I don't have to come back. Whew, this feels good. Yeah. That's my tipping point. Because I don't like not doing it and then feeling aggravated all day like I should have.
Yeah, then you're kind of guilty. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, and then you're not going to do anything that compares to it. The best thing I do is I'll walk the dog for a long walk if I don't come here. Which I do on my every other day. But that's still nothing compared to, so I'm not running, I'm walking.
Right.
And
but that gives you that proper balance of low intensity.
Oh, yeah.
And high intensity. So it's perfect. It works out great.
Well, I mean, in the sense of not coming here and just doing that.
Yeah.
You're still like, when you're done, you're like, I didn't do that much.
It wasn't too hard.
No.
As a recovery tool.
Yeah. So that's what I use. Plus, I think, for me, it's really, I just think it's so essential at this point in my life. It's like now or never. You know what I mean? You might as well get strong as you can, do what you can to keep your body going into, older age. Why I don't want to go, quietly into the night.
Right.
I just want to walk and feel good and not be
Yeah.
bothered.
You jog into it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Someday I lay down and I don't wake up, but
Yeah.
until that day, I don't want to be crawling or, if I can prevent it.
A good thing that we talked about, or a quote that we talked about was, well, I guess it was kind of two. It was, if not now, when? That was the question.
Yes.
If not now, when?
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be something that, well, I can't do it right now. All right, so when can you do it? Next Monday? And then next Monday comes around and you're like, oh. Well,
There's never a right time.
Yeah, there's never a right time to
And that's
start
life.
something new. It doesn't have to just be the gym. That's anything.
It's life. There's never a good time because you always have something that's going to hold precedence over it in your mind.
Yeah.
There's always a good time.
Whether it's
and there's always, yeah, exactly. There's always plenty of time to get something in.
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to commit and do all that, that's what the real struggle is.
Yeah.
And plus, I like your thing. You said your family uses is don't wait until you're ready.
Yeah.
That
Ready.
yeah, that is such a great motivational tool, especially like when you're in the middle of the workout. You don't have to fully recover,
Right.
which was big for me.
Right.
Because you can't, you're having a hard time breathing because you're exercising. Well, you still got to keep moving. You're still going to have that, regardless if you completely recover. The minute you start up again, you're still going to have labored breath. You're moving. You're working out. So that's great. Don't wait until you're ready.
I try to think about that, like we just said, with anything. If you're looking to start a new job, or if you're looking to start a family, or if you're, all these types of things, there's always going to be reasons not to do something. But what's the reason that you do want to do it? Or what's the step that you can take that pushes you or progresses you forward into starting whatever it is that you're looking into?
Yeah.
And then from there, you're not going to have all the answers, so just accept that and get rolling.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think if you're you take that as that, okay, I'm not going to wait until everything's perfect, then you can actually evaluate whether or not you should do something. A lot of people going into business, that's what I have experience with. What holds them back aren't really valid points. It's themselves. But if you are doubting yourself before you even start in a business, let's say, it's just not what you should do.
Yeah.
You should definitely do something different.
Yeah.
Because you can't wait until I got to find the right location. I got to wait. I got to find this. There's a million things that aren't going to go well, and it's going to be a big learning curve. Just get involved. Do it.
That's when I first got the gym. I had this. It was like it happened really quickly how I came about owning this gym, because Chatsworth CrossFit was open before I got here, so I essentially bought it and took over. The offer, making a long story short, kind of hit my plate, and I caught wind of it, and I had like a 3-day turnaround.
Wow.
To decide, all right, am I going to jump into this or am I not? And I've worked in gyms for, ever, pretty much 6-7 years of working in CrossFit gyms specifically. And I was like, I don't know. Like, every excuse was coming up as to why I didn't want to do it. And then I thought, well, fuck it, man. Just go. Just try. Just say yes and see what happens and go from there, Because I was able to pay my bills before. I was doing everything fine. It was all good. But I was like, if the kind of thought of, if you're not growing, you're dying, came up.
Exactly.
And I was doing the same thing for the last 5 or 6 years, and there wasn't really a clear end to it. And then this kind of popped up, and I was like, well, it's sort of the same thing. I know how to do it, but I'll be in the ownership role and then jump in. And it was like, all right, I'll give it a shot.
I heard,
it's working out pretty good.
I heard Steve Harvey, in one of his monologues prior to one of his shows, he spoke about you have to jump.
Yeah.
And I love hearing, different views of different, but it made so much sense. He's like, you have to jump. He goes, if you're standing on that edge and you think you're going to do something, at some point you just have to jump.
Yeah.
And yes, you're going to, what did he say? You're going to hit the cliff. He goes, you're going to break a leg. You're going to scar up your knees. Your hands are going to be busted. He goes, but that's the journey. But if you never jump, you'll never get anywhere. And I think it's exactly what happened to you. You had a choice, were you going to jump into it, or were you going to be content where you were?
I think a lot of times too is this, like, the choices will be influenced by, we're such we're so tuned right now to just look at the end goal and get immediate gratification for whatever it is, and we're losing sight of the journey as being the best part of achieving your end goal.
Yeah, you definitely have to, no matter what you're doing, the goal is to enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to be a good one, but, you learn and grow and move on.
Yeah.
But if all you worry about is, whatever the goal you think is, the end result, the process that goes along with it will never be appreciated, and you'll probably never even achieve anything.
What are you actually going to learn?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're very results driven, almost to a fault.
Yeah, exactly.
To where
Well, that's just the state of today.
you get access
Immediate.
to everything.
Yeah,
right
too
away.
much.
Yeah.
Too much, and that's why it all becomes non-essential. News, media, everything. It's always coming at you, and you become desensitized to everything.
Yeah.
Everything's just another story.
Yeah, that's true. I think there was a great talk, Simon Sinek talked about this that I saw, and he pretty much discussed this, how what makes results, or what makes positive things or achieving goals so valuable is not the actual achievement of it, it's the road to it. Look at any Super Bowl story or any Super Bowl team that wins it. Winning the Super Bowl, yeah, it's pretty cool, but they'll recap the entire season getting there as this was a great season.
Yeah, you'll always hear, as the team came together,
Yeah.
as we started to bond, as we started moving as one unit. It's never about, I had 1,000 yards rushing.
Right.
I caught this, or, there's nothing of that. There was, we took it and, what they accomplished.
Describe the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it's almost something that, like, folks in your generation, like, you can pick up on that a little bit simpler. Like, you're a little more patient when you start something, knowing that it's going to take time to develop and grow and feaster. But I think people, the younger generations now, don't as readily tap into that mindset of being in the long haul.
I talking from experience, I don't think it's different, because everybody, when they're younger, is worried about the immediate, because things just don't seem to be. Who wants to commit to something for years? Nobody.
True.
Nobody's thinking of it that way. I think when you get older, and if you have experience, it's not that you are more patient. You understand that's the process, and that's why you do so much better. I can go from my first restaurant to my last, and my approach was so different.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You evolve and you change through experience and through what works.
Yeah.
So when you walk in, you don't have preconceived notions about what's going to sell in this neighborhood, in this market. You have an overall idea, but the intricate, the specific details that are going to work, you learned over time, and then you apply them properly.
So how do you convey that message to people who are younger, that are kind of weary of what the process looks like?
I think that came down to when I first met you, and I gave you like 18 different ideas of what I saw wrong immediately, which some of them I was wrong. But coming out as a business owner from the outside, I don't know CrossFit, so I might have taken a different approach, like certain things. But I do see like basic things that you learn through experience. In business, it's what's important is very different than what you perceive as important.
Yeah.
And it's a learning process, it's a growing process. But if you're willing to learn, grow, research, and truly evaluate, there's a big difference between evaluating, of what it's worth it, not what you like. It's nice to have a cool name. However, if you have a name that starts in the beginning of the alphabet, you're going to be positioned much better marketing-wise. But
All right.
I don't like, whatever, alphabet soup, Jim.
Yeah.
But A really matters.
Yeah.
So that's hard to get over. What works as opposed to what you like.
Yeah.
Those are, very different things. Your color scheme, if you like blue doesn't show up good anywhere. And it's not an outstanding color. A black background with yellow. As obnoxious as it is, That's the point.
It's memorable.
But that's the point.
Or
You
whatever.
want everyone to see it, and they'll know where that sign is. So it's little things like that, and that's what I think I was trying to convey to you, because of. Plus, I thought of things in two different ways. I first came when you first took over, or you had been here a couple of months, I think.
Yes, I took over in June, about 4 months ago.
Okay, so I've been here 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were new, and my initial reaction is this guy got taken. Because why did they sell it? And that's just a business sense.
Yeah.
That's all. And I had absolutely no numbers. I had nothing to compare it to, but that's just my initial reaction with any business that someone buys. Very few businesses are sold that are truly profitable.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, hope he didn't get taken. Two, I've had a lot of experience over years just learning and seeing things differently. I just wanted to, and you were interested in talking about my outside perspective. And then you would know whether or not it's good to apply it.
Yeah.
You know? So that's where that came from. That's what I think a lot of people need to research and evaluate, and not from people that they like, not from people of the like, from everyone.
Someone anywhere and yeah.
Everyone has different opinions that are very important. And most opinions aren't important. They're already what you know.
Right.
But you don't know until you wade through it.
Right.
You know, fitness to me is a great example. Anytime I wanted, prior to CrossFit, getting a workout program, I would look at 10 to 15 workout routines. And I would just pick out the same routine, the same exercise in each routine. And I'd invariably, every routine had the same thing with one or two offshoots.
Because it's stuff that you like.
Yeah. It's what I was familiar with. And I said, okay, I'll do those. And it was okay, good enough for me.
Yeah.
So it's, it's very different.
But even though it's what you like, it's not.
Oh,
what
absolutely.
you need.
Oh, no, it never. What you need is never. I just look at people who go jogging all the time. You need it. I think that's a good thing to do. It's not the only thing you need.
Got to do something else too.
There's other things to do.
Yeah.
I think everybody's like that though. A lot of people are power, into strength and building, and other people are aerobic, and they're into running and whatever makes them feel comfortable. Nobody wants to be bad.
Yeah.
That's I think what all gyms come down to.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be bad at what they're doing, or lesser than someone else.
Right.
But that's where CrossFit has kind of crossed that median. Nobody thus far that I've seen cares what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's about let's all get it done, let's be done, and be supportive. Just real simple.
Yeah.
Not complicated.
Right.
Not big long speeches.
Right.
Hey man, good job. That's it.
Yeah.
Good enough for me.
Yeah.
I don't need that much encouragement.
That's one of the things, like with CrossFit specifically, is I'll tell people, there's the workout on the board, and that's kind of the outline. But if there's 10 people in class, there'll be 10 different versions of that workout going on.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone still kind of can wrap around, which is a good thing. I think that's something that CrossFit does a good job of, is creating community without people realizing it.
Yeah, because you all have a common goal, getting through it.
Yeah.
And efficiently and effective as well as anybody each can do. And that's a personal choice.
Sure.
That's where it doesn't have any hang-ups.
Right.
It's a choice how hard you really want to go, or what you have, and what stage of life you're at.
Right.
If you're 12 years old and you just started working out, you're not trying, hopefully, your goal is to get to what a 25-year-old man is doing, who's working out. But you're not going to sit in CrossFit try to compete with them.
Right.
To a point. Mentally, you will. Well, you'll compete with them trying to improve.
Right.
But you realistically know I have my limitations, and it's going to take my time. What I'm good at, other people won't be.
Yeah.
And you take it that way.
I had a really good conversation with a friend of mine about individualized programming, and I think that he's really on to something good as far as taking the approach as training somebody, and this is something that we're talking about in my yoga teacher training also, training somebody from an individual perspective, and saying, all right, what can they do today? What's going to be the best thing for them right now? Not worry about what the group is doing, but what's going to be the best thing that they can, and you kind of just said this, do to progress and compete within themselves, and not necessarily try to do what that 25-year-old guy's doing versus the 12-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from a coach's standpoint, programming or coming up with ways to treat the individual is pretty necessary. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
If you can find a way to bridge the gap of having individuals doing, you know, what their requirements are, along with, you know, creating a community environment and support and that kind of thing, it's almost like the perfect mix of stuff.
Yeah, I think CrossFit's bridging that gap.
Trying to.
Yeah, but it can't. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not completed, and it's going to be an evolution,
Right.
which is going to be very hard because
Right.
you have each gym has its own tone.
Has its own way of doing things.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, very different. A lot of you know, there's going to be coaches who just want to come in and have a program for everybody to follow, and that's it. And you use the numbers, and that's what you evaluate. Then you're going to have other gyms where they take the personal. You know, okay, we have individuals. Let's see what we can do for them individually.
Yeah.
And that's very different. But CrossFit's, I think, is providing a broad spectrum for everyone to get involved and do what they feel is best.
Yeah.
You
Things
know?
that I'm big on is it's good to have competition in the room, you know, and be around people who are like-mindedly pushing themselves, but the competition has to be intrinsically motivated.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't make people compete against other people if they don't ever wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, you have to. I think that's just common sense. It's like throwing, you know, a gladiator into a ring, and he never wanted to, or she never wanted to fight.
Right.
Well, that's not the point.
That's not the point.
Yeah, you definitely have to have the individual goals have to be the precedence of why they're here, and they have to understand that too. That's where it's more self-discipline than anything else.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm coming here and I'm worried about strength or I'm worried about cardio, well, pay attention to that. You know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, cool. Well, we'll wrap up here, man. I think one of the things that popped into my head here, too, along the way when we were talking about it was, and kind of a wrap up here is, find someone who has done it before, just in a general statement. Find someone who's done it before and ask them questions and learn from them. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to open up a business, like how you were giving me all these, you know, advertising advices and stuff like that. Like, find someone who has done it successfully, learn what they've done, and try to match it up. You know what I mean?
Just to add to that, it's pretty much the same exact lines. If you're 16 years old and you want to be a doctor or you want to be a lawyer, it does not help you to go work at Target
Yeah.
and find out about a lawyer.
Right.
It would help you a lot better if you went and worked part-time at a lawyer's office, just to get a feel, to learn what the environment, you know, not that you're going to learn everything, but you may feel that, you know, okay, this is for me or this isn't. You know, if you want to be a doctor, you know, go to certain museums. You know, I've known since I was a kid I would never want to be a doctor. I've taken my niece. We went to the Mutter's Museum. I saw all those human
Cadavers.
different body parts, and she was fascinated.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just leave the minute I was there. And so, I mean, it really, getting the know of who has been through something and follow them openly. Don't try to copy them, which is, you know.
Right. I think through that process, too, it just caters to people finding out their own individuality, too, and their individual needs and what they're looking for in their own. You know, really by doing those types of, doing that type of research with your life research, we'll call it, that's how you're going to figure out what your purpose is and what you're actually going to be motivated within yourself by and to do and those types of things.
Yeah, I think in life you have two goals. You have what you're good at, and I think that should be your occupation. Then you have your hobbies. Your hobbies are what you enjoy, what are fun. You know, most likely you're not going to be able to combine them. But if you can come somewhere near that, you know, I think it would make the road a lot less
That's a good
bumpy.
point. And this is something actually that I kind of had a thought to myself about is so many times, and I've said this before too, you know, figure out what you love to do and then figure out how to make money at it. But those two don't always
No,
compute. That
it's
doesn't
very
always
hard.
mix. Yeah, because when you put stress on when you have something that you love to do, for example, for myself, I love being a CrossFit coach or being a trainer or you know, working in the fitness industry. I love doing it. I would probably do it for free, you know. But when you put the pressure of having that thing be what pays your bills also, it changes the tone of it.
Well, it's not what it was.
Not what it was.
Yeah, it definitely
There's a
changes.
very fine line there. It can be in alignment with what you enjoy doing. Don't
Yes.
get a job that you hate,
Yeah.
obviously. But
I think
there's
work-
a good fine line that I think you just talked about.
I think work is really important. You have to do what you're good at.
Yeah.
That's really, because that's the only way you're going to succeed. Don't become a basketball player if you don't have the skill set. But that goes for every career, and I don't think people understand that when they're younger.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a very passive individual, don't become a public speaker. You'll never ever be comfortable at it.
Won't work.
You have to understand what you're good at.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that may be.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. That's something that I'm really learning also.
Yeah.
You know, having dream jobs and stuff, but your dream job may look a little different than, you know, what you originally might place it to be.
Yeah, the practice of the dream job is not always a dream.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah. Sure.
Still looking for my dream job. So.
It's a process. All right, man. Well, thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you.
You got it, man. Guys, we'll get this one out. Look for one podcast a week, hopefully more if we can get them. And if you would like to be on, message me team.movement33@gmail.com. Thanks.